Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host Gershwin and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about Space Marine chapters as we talk about the Loyalist Red Talons. Now, just a quick disclaimer, today's sound quality might not be 100%. Sorry about that. You can tell us how much you hate it in the comment section below, but this is a one-time thing. It won't happen again. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts about the Red Talons. The Red Talons are a Loyalist Space Marine chapter and a second founding successor chapter of the Iron Hands. The Red Talons were founded from a portion of the Iron Hands Legion's Moragul clan, made up primarily of outcasts and the most unstable elements of the 10th Legion, who fought and died under the merciless command of their bloody-handed clan commander, the Iron Lord Otek Mor. The Red Talons primarily wear arterial red color power armor. The Aquila or Imperialis is silver. The Red Talons chapter badge is a crimson talon, centered on a black roundel. This symbol is reminiscent of the distinctive crimson heraldry of the Iron Lord Otek Mor's personal guard, the blood wrought, as well as the clan company icon of the Moragul clan of the Iron Hands Legion of old. The Red Talons can trace their heritage back to the dark days of the galaxy-wide rebellion known as the Horus Heresy, which began in the waning days of the Great Crusade in the late 30th millennium. This bloody-handed chapter is descended from the ranks of the infamous Moragul clan company, led by Otek Mor, who was both Iron Lord of the clan and the Iron Father of the 10th Legion. Mor held a sinister reputation within his legion. The dark rumors accompanied him long before the outbreak of the Horus Heresy, including whispered accusations that the origins of his gene seed, or perhaps his bloodline, were not as they should be. A Terran by birth, he was part of the 10th Legion's first intake and fought in the reconquest of the Sol System. He held field command by the time of its Primarch's finding on the world of Medusa, having already developed a reputation both as a weaponsmith and as a malevolent soul. Mor was known to have killed several members of his own legion in duels over slights of honor, and to rule his company with a cruel and unforgiving fist. On the 10th Legion's new homeworld, Medusa, he took over the outlaw Ragula clan's Leviathan crawler in a bloody night of violence, and made himself its lord, imprinting on it his name and will. In the years that followed, his Moragul clan became a sink for the outcast and most unstable elements of the Iron Hands Legion, who fought and died under Mor's merciless command. No love was lost between Otek Mor and his Primarch. Despite the enmity between the Primarch and the Lord of the Moragul clan, when his Grand Cruiser, the Red Talon, arrived on Isfan V, when the Void Battle was at its height, he bravely attempted to go to aid his Primarch. During the infamous events, which would become known in Imperial history as the Dropsite Massacre, 3 Loyalist Astartes legions, the Iron Hands, the Salamanders, and the Raven Guard, were betrayed by 4 other legions of the Loyalist Second Wave, sent to defeat Horus's traitors at Isfan V, the Alpha Legion, Night Lords, Iron Warriors, and a large contingent of Wordbearers. The Red Talon flagship of the Iron Hands Moragul clan was one of the first Iron Hand vessels to arrive in the Isfan system after the treachery of the Loyalist reserves, breaching into real space amid the titanic space battle that had erupted between the Loyalist and the traitor fleets. Otek Mor ordered his ship to attempt to breach through the firestorm to reach the surface of Isfan V, and the infamously powerful Grand Cruiser succeeded in punching through the battle, but took such heavy damage that it was forced to bypass Isfan V and flee, managing to escape, unlike many of the Iron Hand ships that would later arrive. Of the Iron Hand Legion, it was known that many had been driven to stark madness by witnessing their father's end, and thrown themselves wholesale into the crucible of war as if to absolve their loss in their own death. Yet a substantial number of Iron Hand legionnaires had extricated themselves from the massacre, and while few had made it off the surface, many more had survived the calamitous void ambush of the Legion's fleet, breaking away and scattering across the stars. Some would form isolationist bands, fighting their own private wars against the traitors, such as the infamous Red Talons of Otek Mor. When the Red Talons were just a warband, one of their most notable campaigns took place in the Coronid Deeps, within the Geth's main system, more than a year previously in the year 5 of the 31st millennium. The Geth's main system had submitted to Horus without resistance, and this obedience had thus spared them the worst of the war's attrition. The system's only inhabited world, Geth's main colonists, had been forced to suffer newly imposed overlords in the shape of Tithe Acquisinors, bearing the Serpent's Eye of Horus, where once they had the Raptor Head Seal of Terra. Under their direction, the industries of Geth's main now labored, and the planet's vast rainforests were being cleared-cut to provide fodder for the off-world exports. But other than the Inquisitor's harsh quota, little in truth had changed for the people of Geth's main. But just as the unexpected arrival of a lone survivor from the Isfan system in the year 6 of the 31st millennium had gone on to herald the dawning of a terrible war that was to follow, so now, with fell irony, was a second survivor of the great treachery to herald a new wave of conflict. When the ill-starred warp route from the haunted Grail abyss tore open once more, the vessel that cut into real space with dreadful purpose was no derelict comparison in the Emperor's Children Amarath, as the first survivor ship had been, but a jagged and scar-hulled killer in black iron and blood crimson. This was an Iron Hand vessel. It was the Red Talon, the ship of the Iron Hand's clan Maragul and his master, Otek Mor. Geth's main had been stripped of much of its void defenses in the trader's passing, and now it stood all but naked before the specter of the Imperium's great retribution. A few remaining gun platforms, which protected Geth's main colonists, were quickly swept away by the attacking Grand Cruiser. The ruthless bombardment of the planet from low orbit immediately commenced preparation for a ground assault. Then came the grim sons of Medusa to enact judgment. Any resistance to the Iron Hands was swiftly obliterated, and an entire cohort of planetary militia and their Horsite overseers crushed beneath the tread of Clan Morogul's armor in less than an hour. Wasting no time, seats of government were blasted to rubble, and those in positions of power that had aided the traitors or sided with their cause were methodically hunted down and executed, except for a select number of prisoners deemed to have potential useful information, who were dragged screaming back to the Red Talons gunships. As the Iron Hands Thunderhawks blasted from the surface, the bulk of the civilian population, which had fled into hiding during the sudden assault, nervously rejoiced and came forth, little knowing what would come next. In each of the 5 major cities of Geth's main, the Iron Hands had left behind an improvised automatic device, fashioned by the bloody hands of their Iron Father. Each bomb clad in layer upon layer of radioactive material designed to enrich and multiply the fallout that generated by its detonation 100 times fold. The Red Talons broke orbit just as the cities bloomed into fire. Sentence had been passed on both the traitors and those who had knelt before them. The notice served that there would be no bystanders in this terrible war, no civilians to be given quarter, only loyalists and traitors to the death. Aside from their notable founding, the Red Talons are known for the Defense of Oryx. At the very edge of the Ithaquan Deeps, in the northern segmentum Ultima, near the border of the Ghoul Stars, sits the Sentinel feudal world of Oryx. This vital bastion had long defended the Equinath Deeps against the fell horrors of the Ghoul Stars. In recent times, a most terrible assault occurred in the year 940 of the 41st millennium, when a splinter High Fleet Python of the Tyranid menace approached, disoriented and twisted by its passage through the Ghoul Stars, and fell on Oryx's system like a ravenous beast. The great battle that ensued proved brief but bloody. The stoic defenders of Oryx were backed by a full company of the Red Talons chapter and a Titan maniple from the Ligo Magna. Despite horrific casualties that reached into the tens of thousands, sustained within a mere matter of solar days, the valiant defenders were able to push back their monstrous attackers. Eventually, they contained the threat and purged the vile Xenos from Oryx's blasted surface. In recognition of their hard-fought victory, the Senatorium Ultima of Ultramar honored the chapter with a gift of the famed relic known as the Bloody Crown of Haikani. However, evidence persists that some Harbinger organisms escaped to the outer system, and Orask may not have heard the last of the Great Devourer. And those were 40 facts about the Red Talons. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, I'm sorry for the sound quality. This is just a one-time thing. It won't happen again, hopefully. I just really wanted to get a video out for you guys. So we might do the Red Talons video over again, depending on how bad the quality is. But with that said, comment down below. Let us know what other Space Marine chapters or what other topics of Warhammer 40K that you guys would like us to cover. Put suggestion in front of your request, and we'll try to get to those as quickly as we can. And again, guys, thank you so much for liking, commenting, and sharing. By you guys liking, you're telling YouTube that you want more content from us, so it really helps out the channel. If you want to help us out a little bit more, jump on over to Patreon. A simple $1 a month helps us create more videos for you guys, and you get some little extra stuff too on Patreon. Again, guys, if you can't do that, that's okay. Just liking, commenting, and sharing really helps out. With that said, I'll see you tomorrow. This was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.